Hello, and welcome to Whispered Tales, where the myths of ancient times come alive, carried softly to your ears on the gentle breeze of a whisper. Tonight, we embark on a journey into the depths of the vast, unpredictable sea and explore the power and majesty of Poseidon, the mighty god of the ocean and earth shaker. Prepare to be swept away by tales of roaring waves, fearsome sea creatures, and a god whose trident could command both the gentlest currents and the most fearsome storms. Imagine, if you will, the endless expanse of the ocean, shimmering under the golden glow of the sun or churning in a storm as dark as night. Beneath those waves lies Poseidon's palace, a shimmering underwater kingdom filled with coral towers, gleaming pearls, and creatures both wondrous and terrifying. Poseidon, with his flowing beard of seaweed and eyes that hold the tempest's fury, rules over this realm with a will as fierce as the ocean itself. But his power doesn't end at the shoreline. He is also the earth shaker, the god who can make the ground tremble and mountains split with a single strike of his trident. In tonight's tale, we will explore Poseidon's many faces, the protector of sailors who pray for safe passage, the creator of magnificent horses that race across the land like waves crashing upon the shore, and the god whose wrath can send entire cities crumbling into the sea. His stories are filled with adventure, vengeance, and the boundless beauty and danger of the natural world. From his rivalry with Athena over the city of Athens to the fearsome sea monsters he unleashed upon those who angered him, Poseidon's myths remind us of the awe-inspiring and often unpredictable forces of nature. So, settle in and let the whispers of the sea guide you. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and prepare to journey into a realm where the boundary between land and water is ruled by a god of immense power and endless mystery. And remember, if you enjoy our whispered explorations of ancient legends, don't forget to follow Whispered Tales for more mythical journeys that will transport you to realms of gods, heroes, and the secrets of the past. Thank you for joining me tonight. Let the waves of this story wash over you, carrying you to a place where myths are real, and the voice of the sea still echoes with the power of Poseidon. Ready to dive in? Then let's begin. Beneath the ever-changing waves of the vast, boundless sea lies a kingdom as ancient as the world itself, a realm where mysteries dance in the shadows and the heartbeat of the ocean echoes through towering coral palaces. This is the domain of Poseidon, the mighty god of the sea, whose rule stretches from the deepest trenches to the sunlit shallows. His palace, a glittering fortress of sea foam and marble, stands hidden within the heart of the ocean, where light filters through sapphire waves, casting an otherworldly glow over the kingdom he commands. Poseidon's throne is carved from seashells and adorned with pearls that shimmer with an iridescent sheen, treasures harvested from the ocean's depths. Towering columns of living coral spiral upward, teeming with vibrant marine life, schools of fish that sparkle like liquid jewels, and sea anemones that bloom in a rainbow of colors, swaying with the gentle currents. It is a realm that pulses with the life and magic of the sea, where dolphins leap in joyous arcs and ancient whales sing their mournful songs to the rhythm of the tides. Poseidon himself is a figure of awe-inspiring strength, with a wild mane of hair the color of dark kelp and eyes as deep and tempestuous as the ocean's greatest storms. His beard flows like seaweed in the current, and his presence commands both reverence and fear. Draped in robes that seem woven from the very waves he controls, he holds in his powerful grip the legendary trident, a weapon of unimaginable power. With a mere thrust, he can summon towering tsunamis or calm the fiercest of tempests, for he is the master of all that moves beneath the waves. Surrounding his throne are the denizens of the deep, merfolk with tales of shimmering emerald and sapphire, sea nymphs who use spells of enchantment with their haunting songs, and mighty sea serpents that coil around pillars with eyes like ancient gemstones. Crabs the size of chariots scuttle across the palace floor, and giant turtles drift through crystalline halls. Even the Leviathan, a monstrous creature from the abyss, bows its massive head in respect when Poseidon's booming voice commands the sea to obey. But this is no serene paradise. It is a world where beauty and danger coexist, where gentle tides can turn into monstrous waves with the gods' shifting moods. Poseidon's power is absolute, and his temper, like the ocean itself, can change from calm tranquility to unbridled fury in an instant. His laughter can fill the depths with joy, causing coral gardens to bloom, but his wrath can shatter ships and sink entire fleets, leaving nothing but driftwood and sorrow in his wake. Here, in this breathtaking underwater realm, Poseidon reigns supreme, his authority as vast and relentless as the ocean's depths. To venture into his kingdom is to witness the raw, untamed majesty of the sea, a place where legends are born and where the boundaries between myth and reality blur like the colors of a sunlit reef. This is the realm of Poseidon, ruler of the tides, lord of the tempests, and guardian of the ocean's most ancient secrets, a god whose kingdom will forever whisper tales of both wonder and terror. Poseidon's might is as boundless as the seas he commands, and his most iconic symbol, the trident, is a weapon forged by the primordial Cyclopes in the dawn of time. This three-pronged spear is no ordinary tool, but a manifestation of his authority over every drop of water in the world. With a single strike of his trident, Poseidon can shake the very earth, causing cataclysmic earthquakes and roaring tsunamis that wash over coastal lands, reshaping the world with the raw force of nature. His power is felt not only in the depths of the ocean but also on the shores where waves crash and thunder rolls. The trident, shimmering with an aura of ancient energy, is more than just a weapon, it is a key to the mysteries of the sea. When Poseidon wields it, the waves rise and fall at his command, and the winds obey his whispers. He can summon gentle currents to guide lost sailors safely to shore or unleash devastating storms to drag entire armadas into the abyss. Each prong of the trident gleams with the power to command the elements, a testament to his dominion over the waters and the very earth itself. Yet, Poseidon is not just the master of the sea but also the keeper of the creatures that dwell within it. The god's presence is often heralded by majestic dolphins leaping through the waves, their playful joy a reflection of his more benevolent side. At his feet, mighty seahorses, creatures with the forequarters of stallions and the tails of powerful fish, ride the currents, carrying his chariot across the ocean's expanse with a speed that defies the wind. When Poseidon traverses his realm, the waters part and shimmer in a display of divine elegance, a royal procession fit for the king of the sea. His domain stretches beyond the watery depths, touching even the shores and cliffs that meet the ocean. Fishermen and sailors know his name well, offering sacrifices and prayers to appease the god before embarking on their voyages. Temples adorned with shells and sea motifs stand along the coasts, where priests pour libations into the waters, hoping to earn Poseidon's favor and protection. For when the sea god is pleased, the waters are bountiful, and gentle breezes carry ships to distant lands. But when angered, his fury is unmatched, and entire cities have been swallowed by the relentless waves of his wrath. Poseidon's symbols, from his majestic trident to the creatures that dwell in his realm, serve as constant reminders of his immense power and the delicate balance between his favor and his ire. To understand Poseidon is to respect the sea in all its glory and danger, to recognize the wild spirit of a god who can be as nurturing as a calm lagoon or as devastating as a churning maelstrom. His influence stretches far and wide, touching the lives of mortals and immortals alike, a testament to the enduring strength and majesty of the god of the sea. Poseidon's story is eternally intertwined with those of his two mighty brothers, Zeus and Hades. Together, they form a divine triad, sons of Cronus and Rhea, who rose to power after overthrowing their tyrannical father. But even in victory, their destiny was shaped by the drawing of lots, a fateful act that divided the cosmos among them and set the stage for both unity and rivalry. Zeus, the youngest yet the most ambitious, drew the heavens and became the king of Olympus, ruling the skies and wielding thunderbolts that could split the heavens. Hades, the eldest and most somber, drew the underworld, the shadowy realm where souls of the departed dwelled, and he became the sovereign of that eerie, subterranean kingdom. Poseidon, with his powerful presence and turbulent spirit, drew the seas, an inheritance that suited his wild and untamed nature perfectly. He became the god of the oceans, ruling over every wave, current, and creature that called the water home. Despite the bonds of brotherhood, the relationship among the three was never without tension. Poseidon, with his fierce pride and unyielding power, often found himself clashing with Zeus, whose rule over Olympus and the skies made him the ultimate authority among the gods. Poseidon's heart bristled at the idea of bowing to his younger brother, for though he commanded the seas, his domain was no less mighty. The two brothers would often be at odds, their arguments shaking the very foundations of Olympus, with lightning crackling in the heavens and the sea roaring in defiance. Yet, there was also a deep, unspoken respect among the three. Each understood the power of the other and the roles they played in maintaining the balance of the cosmos. Poseidon knew that Zeus's might kept the heavens in order, just as Hades ensured that the dead remained in their eternal rest. Their destinies were bound together, a divine family whose love and rivalry shaped the very fabric of the world. Hades, meanwhile, remained a distant but significant presence in Poseidon's life. The two shared a mutual understanding, a recognition of the weight each bore in governing their realms. The sea and the underworld were not so far apart. Both were mysterious, dark, and filled with secrets that mortals could only dream of. And though Poseidon was quick to anger, he did not lightly dismiss the wisdom and solemnity of his elder brother. Together, the three brothers stood as pillars of the universe, each wielding a different kind of power. Zeus ruled the skies, Hades the underworld, and Poseidon the seas. Their bond was a complex one, filled with both moments of unity and fiery discord. But it was this dynamic that gave shape to the world as it was known, a world where the sea met the sky and where life and death existed in an eternal cycle. Poseidon, with his trident in hand and the waves under his command, knew that his role was one of immense importance, even if it sometimes meant challenging the king of Olympus himself. For in the heart of the ocean god, there burned a desire not only to rule but also to be seen as equal among the mighty sons of Cronus. Poseidon, the mighty god of the sea, was never one to quietly accept the rule of his younger brother, Zeus. Though he held dominion over the boundless oceans, his restless heart often longed for greater recognition and authority, believing his domain no less significant than the skies that Zeus commanded. This unquenchable thirst for power led Poseidon into numerous struggles and conflicts, shaking the very foundations of Olympus and testing the bonds of divine brotherhood. One of the most famous tales of defiance unfolded when Poseidon, tired of Zeus's domineering rule, conspired with other gods to overthrow the king of Olympus. It was a bold and dangerous plot, one that involved none other than Hera, the queen of the gods, and Athena, the wise and strategic goddess. Together, they sought to bind Zeus and strip him of his power, believing that the rule of Olympus could be better shared or, at the very least, less oppressive. The plan seemed flawless. While Zeus slumbered, they cast golden chains around him, chains so strong that even the mighty king could not break them. But just when victory seemed within reach, the tides of fortune turned. The sea nymph Thetis, ever loyal to Zeus, called upon Briareus, the 100-handed giant, to come to his aid. With strength unparalleled, Briareus freed Zeus from his bonds, and the wrath of the king of the gods was swift and terrible. Poseidon, despite his great power, was forced to bow to Zeus's fury, and as punishment, he was ordered to labor for mortals, humbling the sea god who had dared to rise against Olympus. Yet, Poseidon's defiance was not limited to the grand halls of the gods. His rivalry with Athena was another source of conflict, one that played out not in the heavens but on the earth itself. The two deities found themselves at odds over the patronage of a new city, a land of great promise and beauty. Poseidon struck the ground with his trident, causing a magnificent saltwater spring to burst forth, a gift of the sea to honor the city. But Athena, with her wisdom and foresight, offered an olive tree, symbolizing peace and prosperity. The people chose Athena's gift, and the city became Athens, forever blessed by her name. Poseidon's pride was wounded, and though he accepted the decision, his grudge lingered, a reminder that even gods are not immune to the sting of defeat. Poseidon's power struggles were a reflection of his fierce and untamed spirit, a god who commanded respect and would not easily be overshadowed. His defiance against Zeus and his conflicts with other deities illustrated the complex nature of his character, proud, ambitious, and at times vengeful. Yet, beneath his thirst for power lay a deep sense of responsibility for his realm. The sea was vast and unpredictable, and so was its ruler, a god who could be both protector and destroyer, ally and adversary, always striving for a place of honor among the immortal beings who ruled the cosmos. In the end, Poseidon remained a god of great might and influence, one who would forever be remembered not only for the tempests he unleashed but also for the indomitable spirit that made him a force to be reckoned with. His struggles for power, his victories and losses, shaped the myths that continue to ripple through time, like waves crashing against the shores of eternity. Poseidon's power over the ocean was as wild and unpredictable as the waves themselves, and no mortal who sailed the seas could ever forget his dominion. He was known as the master of storms, a god who could turn the calmest waters into a churning maelstrom with a mere flick of his trident. Sailors and fishermen lived in both awe and fear of Poseidon, offering prayers and sacrifices before venturing out into the open sea, hoping to appease the god and keep his wrath at bay. When Poseidon was pleased, the ocean sparkled like a field of sapphires under the midday sun, waves lapping gently at the shores and sea breezes carrying the salty scent of the deep. Dolphins leapt joyously alongside ships, and the voyage was blessed with a serenity that could only come from the benevolence of the sea god. But when Poseidon's temper flared, the sea transformed into a monstrous force of destruction. Black storm clouds would gather at the horizon, and winds would howl with a fury that ripped sails to shreds and tossed mighty ships like toy boats. Waves as tall as mountains would rise, crashing down with an earth-shaking roar, swallowing vessels and scattering wreckage across the merciless deep. Legends abounded Poseidon's legendary wrath, and many tales were told of those who dared to defy him. One such tale is of King Minos of Crete, who angered Poseidon by refusing to sacrifice a majestic white bull that the god had gifted him. In his fury, Poseidon cursed Minos by causing his wife, Queen Pasiphae, to fall in love with the very bull he had withheld, leading to the birth of the monstrous Minotaur. The labyrinth built to contain the creature became a symbol of Poseidon's unforgiving nature, a warning to all who might think to cross him. Another famous account of Poseidon's stormy wrath is found in the epic journey of Odysseus. The cunning hero of Ithaca, having blinded Poseidon's son, the Cyclops Polyphemus, found himself at the mercy of the sea god's relentless anger. For 10 long years, Poseidon unleashed tempest after tempest, thwarting Odysseus's attempts to return home. Each time the shores of Ithaca seemed within reach, Poseidon would hurl him back into the open waters, reminding him and all who heard his tale that the sea was Poseidon's domain and no one escaped his judgment without a price. Despite the ferocity of his storms, Poseidon's rule was not one of sheer chaos. His anger was a reflection of the ocean's true nature, beautiful, life-giving, but also merciless and indifferent. His storms were a reminder that the sea was both a giver and a taker, a force that could not be tamed or controlled. The sailors of ancient Greece knew this well, carving images of Poseidon into their ships' figureheads, hoping his likeness might grant them safe passage. The master of storms was a god of extremes, capable of both great benevolence and devastating vengeance. He could bless a voyage with gentle currents or summon hurricanes that would leave the strongest of ships in splinters. To respect Poseidon was to respect the sea itself, a realm of mystery and power that echoed with the might of its god, where every wave whispered his name and every storm bore the mark of his immortal will. Poseidon was not only the master of the seas and storms, but also the feared Earthshaker, a god whose power reached far beyond the waves and deep into the very foundations of the earth. When he drove his mighty trident into the ground, the earth trembled and mountains quaked. Cities crumbled to ruins, and vast chasms split the landscape. His wrath was as devastating on land as it was in the ocean, a reminder to all that the god of the sea's dominion extended to the very bones of the earth. The ancient Greeks revered Poseidon's ability to cause earthquakes, for in their world, the ground itself was not always a safe and stable place. People built temples and shrines to honor and appease the Earthshaker, hoping that their devotion might keep their homes standing and their land safe. In coastal cities, where Poseidon's influence was strongest, offerings were made to ensure both the sea and the ground remained calm. For when the Earthshaker was displeased, his rage could lay waste to entire civilizations, toppling even the most impressive feats of human architecture. One of the most famous stories of Poseidon's power over the earth comes from the legend of Atlantis. It is said that the god, in his might, created the wondrous city of Atlantis, a land of unparalleled beauty and technological marvels. But when the Atlanteans grew arrogant and defied the gods, Poseidon's wrath was swift and merciless. He shook the earth beneath Atlantis, and the magnificent city sank beneath the waves, swallowed forever by the sea. The legend of Atlantis became a cautionary tale, a reminder of Poseidon's ability to create and destroy with equal ease. Poseidon's mastery of earthquakes was also a weapon in his many disputes. When he quarreled with the other gods or sought to punish mortals, he would shake the earth as a demonstration of his might. Entire armies would flee in terror, and proud cities would collapse under the sheer force of his anger. Yet, his earthquakes were not always acts of vengeance. Sometimes they were displays of power, a way for Poseidon to remind gods and mortals alike that the earth itself could bow to his will. Despite his reputation as a bringer of destruction, Poseidon's role as the Earthshaker was also seen as one of balance. Just as the sea nourished and gave life, so did the earth, with its fertile fields and sturdy foundations. But for these gifts to be respected, the power of the Earthshaker had to be acknowledged. Poseidon was a god who kept the forces of nature in check, and his earthquakes, though terrifying, were a natural part of the world he governed. The rumble of the ground beneath one's feet was more than just a tremor, it was the voice of Poseidon, a divine warning from a god whose power knew no bounds. From the crashing waves to the shifting earth, Poseidon's influence was a reminder that the natural world, in all its beauty and terror, was under the watchful eye of a god who could summon its fury with a single strike of his trident. Among the many tales of Poseidon's adventures, one of the most captivating is his fierce rivalry with Athena, the wise and strategic goddess of war and wisdom. This legendary conflict was centered around a city that would become one of the most famous in the ancient world, Athens. The gods had taken a special interest in this new city, and both Poseidon and Athena desired to become its patron deity, each offering a divine gift to the people in hopes of winning their favor. Poseidon, with all the power and grandeur of the sea, approached the city first. With a mighty thrust of his trident, he struck the ground, and from the cracked earth emerged a magnificent saltwater spring. The water gushed forth with a wild and untamed energy, a symbol of Poseidon's mastery over the seas and a promise of wealth from maritime trade and the strength of the ocean. The people marveled at the sight, for the spring sparkled under the sunlight, and the roar of the water echoed with the god's power. But as they tasted the water, they realized it was as salty as the sea, undrinkable and unsuitable for nourishing their land. Then came Athena, graceful and composed. She planted a single seed into the fertile earth, and from it grew a wondrous olive tree, its branches heavy with fruit and its leaves glistening with silver in the Mediterranean sun. This tree, Athena explained, was a gift of prosperity and peace, providing the people with wood for building, oil for cooking and lighting, and fruit to nourish generations to come. The olive tree's promise of lasting abundance and stability resonated deeply with the people, who saw in it the wisdom and practicality that would sustain their city for ages. The gods of Olympus gathered to witness the outcome, and the people of the city were called upon to choose which deity's gift would define their future. In the end, Athena's olive tree was chosen, and the city was named Athens in her honor. Poseidon's pride was wounded, and his fury was swift. He unleashed a great wave upon the land, flooding the coastal areas and reminding the Athenians that the sea god's power was not to be taken lightly. The people built altars and temples to appease Poseidon, seeking to calm his anger and show respect to the god of the sea, even as they honored Athena as their patron. This rivalry between Poseidon and Athena became one of the most enduring myths of ancient Greece, a story that illustrated not only the power of the gods but also the values of the Athenian people. Athena's wisdom and promise of peace triumphed over Poseidon's wild and unpredictable might, shaping the identity of a city that would become a cradle of civilization, philosophy, and democracy. Yet, Poseidon's defeat did not diminish his majesty. The waves continued to crash against the Athenian shores, a constant reminder of the god who had once contended for the city. The people of Athens never forgot the strength of the sea and paid homage to Poseidon in grand temples overlooking the waters, for they knew that while their olive trees flourished on land, the vast and powerful ocean always lay at their doorstep, under the dominion of the great earth shaker. Poseidon's influence was not confined to divine rivalries. His power and pride often brought him into direct conflict with mortals, and those who dared to anger the sea god found themselves at the mercy of his relentless fury. One of the most famous tales of Poseidon's vengeance is the story of Odysseus, the cunning king of Ithaca, whose long and perilous journey home from the Trojan War was made nearly impossible by the god's wrath. It began when Odysseus and his men found themselves on the island of the Cyclopes, a land of towering, one-eyed giants. There, they encountered Polyphemus, the most fearsome of all the Cyclopes and, more importantly, the son of Poseidon. Trapped in Polyphemus's cave, Odysseus devised a daring plan to escape. Using his wit, he and his men blinded the monstrous Cyclops, driving a sharpened stake into his single eye while Polyphemus howled in agony. As they fled, Odysseus could not resist taunting the defeated giant, shouting his name so that Polyphemus would know who had outsmarted him. Blinded and enraged, Polyphemus called out to his father, Poseidon, begging for vengeance. The god of the sea heard his son's cries and vowed to make Odysseus' journey home a nightmare. From that moment on, Poseidon's fury was unrelenting. The calm, welcoming waves turned into monstrous storms, and the winds blew Odysseus' ships far off course. Each time Ithaca's shores came into sight, Poseidon would hurl him back into the open ocean, prolonging his suffering and separating him from his family for years. Poseidon's curse tested every ounce of Odysseus' strength, resilience, and cunning. The sea god sent mighty tempests to batter his ships, shipwrecked him on unfamiliar islands, and forced him to confront countless perils, from the sorcery of Circe to the allure of the sirens. Odysseus' men perished one by one, victims of the god's unyielding wrath, until the hero was left to wander the seas alone, clinging to the hope that he might one day return home. Yet, Poseidon's grudge was not merely a tale of divine pettiness. it was a reminder of the power of the gods and the consequences of mortal arrogance. Odysseus's hubris in declaring his name to Polyphemus was the spark that ignited Poseidon's anger, teaching a harsh lesson about respect and humility before the forces of nature and divinity. The god of the sea was as unpredictable and merciless as the ocean itself, a force that could not be tamed or taken lightly. Despite the years of torment, Odysseus eventually made his way home, but only after he learned to respect the will of the gods and navigated the perils Poseidon had set before him. Even as he stepped onto the shores of Ithaca, Odysseus knew that the sea would always be Poseidon's realm, vast and untamed, a kingdom where mortals tread at their own risk. Poseidon's feud with Odysseus stands as a testament to the god's immense power, the relentless fury of the ocean, and the lesson that even the cleverest of mortals must face the consequences of challenging the divine. Poseidon's dominion over the oceans was not limited to the waves and storms. He was also the creator and master of the fearsome creatures that roamed the deep, monstrous beings that struck terror into the hearts of sailors and coastal dwellers. These sea monsters were his enforcers, embodiments of his wrath, and reminders of the ocean's untamed power. From the colossal kraken to the deadly Scylla and the ever-hungry Charybdis, Poseidon's beasts were the stuff of legends, guarding his realm and punishing those who dared to defy the god of the sea. One of the most terrifying of Poseidon's creatures was Scylla, a monstrous being with 12 legs and 6 heads, each one lined with rows of sharp, glistening teeth. She lurked in a rocky cavern along a narrow strait, ready to snatch sailors from their ships with her vicious jaws. Her howls echoed across the waters, and even the bravest of mariners trembled at the thought of crossing her path. Legend has it that Scylla was once a beautiful nymph, but Poseidon's wrath, or in some versions, the jealousy of his wife, Amphitrite, transformed her into a horrific beast, a guardian of the sea's most dangerous passage. Not far from Scylla lay Charybdis, another of Poseidon's deadly creations. Charybdis was a massive, insatiable whirlpool that swallowed entire ships whole, pulling them down into the dark, crushing depths of the ocean. 3 times a day, Charybdis would suck in the surrounding waters, creating a vortex so powerful that no vessel could escape its pull. To sail between Scylla and Charybdis was to navigate a deadly dance, where avoiding one monster often meant falling victim to the other. The phrase "caught between Scylla and Charybdis" became a metaphor for facing 2 equally perilous choices, a testament to Poseidon's power to create dilemmas that tested the courage and skill of even the most seasoned sailors. But Poseidon's monstrous arsenal did not end there. Tales were told of the Kraken, a giant, tentacled leviathan that could pull entire ships beneath the waves with ease. Its eyes glowed with an ancient, malevolent intelligence, and it was said to lurk in the deepest parts of the ocean, waiting for Poseidon's command to rise and wreak havoc on those who had angered the god. The Kraken was the ultimate enforcer of Poseidon's will, a creature so powerful that even the bravest warriors would tremble at the thought of facing it. In Poseidon's kingdom, the sea monsters served as guardians and punishers, embodiments of the god's unpredictable nature. They represented the ocean's duality, a source of life and abundance, yet also a realm of unfathomable terror. Mariners who set out on long voyages knew they were at the mercy of these creatures and the god who controlled them. They offered prayers and sacrifices to Poseidon, hoping to earn his favor and avoid the fangs, whirlpools, and tentacles that could end their journeys in an instant. These legends of sea monsters remind us of the ancient fear and respect humanity has always held for the ocean. To venture into Poseidon's realm was to risk encountering the unknown, to face the terrifying guardians that protected the mysteries of the deep, and to understand that the sea was a place where myth and reality blurred, where Poseidon's power ruled supreme and the boundary between life and death was ever so fragile. While Poseidon is most famously known as the god of the sea, his influence extended far beyond the ocean's depths. He was also the god who created horses, imbuing them with the wild, untamed spirit of the waves and the strength of an ocean current. This dual aspect of Poseidon's power, ruler of the seas and father of horses, demonstrated his dominion over both the fluid grace of water and the raw, muscular energy of land. The myth of Poseidon as the creator of horses begins with his attempt to impress Demeter, the goddess of the harvest. To win her favor, Poseidon set out to create the most magnificent creature the world had ever seen. With a powerful stomp of his foot upon the earth, he summoned forth the first horse, a beast so graceful and strong that it left even the gods in awe. Its mane rippled like the waves of the sea, and its hooves struck the ground with the force of a crashing wave. Yet, in his pursuit of perfection, Poseidon created many wild and untamed horses before he was finally satisfied, and these wild creatures roamed the land, a testament to the god's fierce and restless energy. Poseidon's connection to horses extended beyond their creation. He was the god who inspired chariot races, a sport beloved by mortals and gods alike, where the speed and power of horses were celebrated in his honor. Coastal cities and settlements built grand hippodromes where charioteers raced under Poseidon's watchful eye, the thundering hooves echoing the god's own tempestuous spirit. Victorious riders would dedicate their triumphs to Poseidon, hoping to earn his blessing and favor in future competitions. But Poseidon's influence over horses was not only about grace and competition, it also symbolized the raw, untamed power of nature. Wild stallions, running free across the plains, were seen as manifestations of Poseidon's will, their manes flowing like waves in the wind and their hooves leaving trails that resembled the ripples of the sea. These magnificent creatures carried a sense of freedom and untamed energy, embodying both the beauty and the danger of Poseidon's realms. Even on land, Poseidon's power could be felt through the thundering of hooves and the primal energy of a galloping herd. His association with horses made him a god of both chaos and creation, a deity whose influence shaped not just the ocean but also the wild landscapes where his creatures roamed. Those who revered Poseidon honored him not only with offerings cast into the sea but also through horse races and the taming of stallions, acts that acknowledged his gifts and his power over both water and land. Poseidon's role as the god of horses added yet another layer to his already complex identity. He was a god of vast and unpredictable dominion, a force of nature that could be nurturing and life-giving or fierce and destructive. The image of Poseidon riding his chariot, pulled by magnificent sea horses, remains a powerful symbol of his mastery over both the crashing waves and the thundering herds. His legacy lives on in the creatures he created, the wild stallions that gallop with the spirit of the sea, a reminder of the god who ruled over the untamed and the unpredictable, whether it was beneath the waves or on the solid ground of the earth. Despite his fearsome reputation and the tempests he could summon, Poseidon was also revered as a benevolent protector, a god whom sailors and sea voyagers depended on for safe passage across the treacherous waters. In the ancient world, the sea was a vast and unpredictable expanse, filled with hidden dangers, and Poseidon's favor was crucial for those who made their living on the waves or traveled great distances by ship. Before embarking on a journey, sailors would offer sacrifices to Poseidon, hoping to earn his goodwill. These offerings could range from libations of wine poured into the sea to precious gifts thrown overboard, all in the hope of placating the sea god. The ceremonies were filled with solemn reverence, for every sailor knew that Poseidon's moods were as changeable as the ocean he ruled. To sail without his blessing was to risk being swallowed by the waves or lost in the vastness of the deep. Poseidon's protection extended not only to the physical safety of ships but also to the psychological courage of the sailors. Those who set out on long and perilous voyages knew that the god's presence was always near, whether in the playful leaps of dolphins alongside the ship or in the sudden calm of the sea after a storm. sailors often carved images of Poseidon onto the prows of their vessels, believing that his likeness would guide and shield them from harm. When the wind filled their sails and the sea was calm, they would whisper prayers of gratitude, for they knew that Poseidon's watchful eyes were keeping them safe. Temples dedicated to Poseidon were often built near the coast, magnificent structures where the god's influence was palpable. The most famous of these was the Temple of Poseidon at Cape Saunion, perched dramatically on a cliff overlooking the Aegean Sea. Travelers would visit the temple to make offerings and pray for a safe journey, the temple's marble columns standing as a beacon of hope and divine protection. Even as ships sailed out of sight of land, sailors would look back at the temple, drawing comfort from the knowledge that Poseidon's blessing was with them. But Poseidon's favor was never to be taken for granted. The sea was a realm of both life and death, and the god who ruled it could be generous or merciless. A sudden storm or a rogue wave could be a sign of Poseidon's displeasure, a reminder that the ocean, no matter how familiar, was never fully within human control. Sailors learned to respect the sea and the god who governed it, knowing that humility and reverence were their best defenses against the unpredictable nature of the waves. In times of crisis, when a ship was caught in a storm and hope seemed lost, the desperate cries of sailors would rise above the howling winds, calling out for Poseidon's mercy. And sometimes, if the god was pleased or took pity, the storm would subside, and the sea would grow still. This duality, Poseidon as both protector and destroyer, made him a god whose power commanded deep respect and awe. He was the guardian of those who respected the ocean and a formidable adversary to those who dared to defy it. Poseidon's legacy as the protector of sailors lives on in the stories of those who braved the seas and returned to tell the tales. His spirit remains in the salt-laden breezes, the crashing waves, and the eternal dance of the tides, a reminder of the god who watched over those who ventured into his watery domain with both benevolence and the ever-present threat of divine retribution. Throughout ancient Greece, Poseidon was celebrated in grand festivals and sacred rituals that honored his power and sought his blessings. These celebrations were both acts of devotion and expressions of gratitude, acknowledging the god who held sway over the oceans and the lands. Among the most significant of these festivals was the Isthmian Games, held in Corinth, where athletes and spectators gathered to pay homage to Poseidon in a display of physical strength and skill. The Isthmian Games, second only to the Olympic Games in importance, were celebrated every 2 years and took place near the magnificent temple of Poseidon on the Isthmus of Corinth. The event drew participants from all over Greece, and the competitions included chariot races, athletic contests, and musical performances. The chariot races, in particular, were held in high regard, as they echoed Poseidon's connection to horses and the thrill of riding powerful steeds across the land, much like he commanded the waves. Victors of these games were crowned with wreaths made of wild celery, a plant sacred to Poseidon, and their triumphs were seen as a reflection of the god's favor. Another important aspect of Poseidon's worship was the series of maritime rituals performed by sailors and coastal communities. These rituals often took place before embarking on a sea voyage or during times when the ocean's wrath threatened their livelihood. Offerings such as bulls, horses, and libations of wine were given to the god, with priests and priestesses chanting prayers to invoke his protection and keep the waters calm. The sacrifices were carried out with solemnity, for the people understood that their survival depended on Poseidon's benevolence. In seaside towns and fishing villages, celebrations of Poseidon's power included processions and feasts that brought the community together. Fishermen would gather at the shore, lighting bonfires and casting offerings into the waves, thanking the god for the bounty of the sea. Children played games inspired by the ocean, while elders told stories of Poseidon's legendary deeds, from his creation of horses to his fierce battles with other gods. The air was filled with music and laughter, yet always underpinned by a reverence for the god who could grant prosperity or ruin in equal measure. One of the most enchanting rituals dedicated to Poseidon was the celebration of the sea nymphs and nereids, his attendants and daughters who dwelled in the depths. Women dressed as these ethereal creatures would dance along the shoreline, their movements mimicking the gentle waves and the swirling currents. These rituals sought to honor the beauty and mystery of Poseidon's realm, acknowledging that the sea was not only a force of destruction but also a source of life, wonder, and inspiration. Poseidon's festivals served as a reminder of the delicate balance between humans and the natural world. The Greeks understood that the sea could be a source of both sustenance and peril, and their devotion to Poseidon reflected this duality. By honoring the god with festivals, sacrifices, and rituals, they sought to live in harmony with the waters that surrounded their lands and to earn the favor of the mighty Earthshaker. Even today, the ruins of Poseidon's temples and the legends of his rituals continue to inspire awe, a testament to a time when the sea was both a lifeline and a mystery, a realm of beauty and danger governed by one of the most powerful gods of Olympus. The echoes of these ancient celebrations live on in the stories passed down through generations, a tribute to the enduring legacy of Poseidon, the mighty and capricious god of the sea. Poseidon's legacy stretches far beyond the myths and legends told in ancient Greece. He remains an enduring symbol of the untamed and unpredictable forces of nature, a god whose influence shaped not only the waves of the ocean but also the very lands on which humans built their lives. Even in the modern world, the echoes of Poseidon's power can be felt in the eternal ebb and flow of the tides, the rumble of earthquakes, and the stories that continue to captivate the imagination. The sea, with all its beauty and danger, was Poseidon's domain, and the Greeks saw him as a force both to be revered and respected. Fishermen and sailors who ventured into the vast expanse of the ocean knew that their fates lay in Poseidon's hands. His moods could mean the difference between a bountiful catch and a watery grave. Coastal cities flourished under his watchful eye but also lived in the shadow of his wrath. Earthquakes, tsunamis, and violent storms were all seen as manifestations of the Earthshaker's power, a reminder that even the most stable ground was never truly secure from Poseidon's might. Yet, Poseidon was more than just a bringer of destruction. His connection to the sea made him a god of exploration and discovery. The ancient Greeks, great seafarers themselves, owed much of their wealth and cultural exchange to their mastery of the waves. In this way, Poseidon became a symbol of adventure and the mysteries of the deep, representing both the peril and promise that the ocean offered. His trident, a powerful emblem of authority, was a reminder that he could provide safe passage just as easily as he could stir up storms. Poseidon's influence also extended to the land. His creation of horses, those magnificent creatures that carried warriors into battle and plowed the fields, showcased his role as a god of civilization and progress. Horses embody Poseidon's wild spirit but also his gift of strength and speed to humanity. The god's dual nature, his dominion over both water and land, highlighted the interconnectedness of the world, where the elements and creatures he commanded played crucial roles in human life. In art and literature, Poseidon continues to be a source of fascination. Statues of the sea god, often depicted with his flowing beard and powerful trident, still stand in museums and ancient ruins, a testament to the reverence the Greeks have for him. His stories, from his rivalry with Athena to his vengeance against Odysseus, remain integral to the rich tapestry of Greek mythology. Writers and poets have drawn inspiration from Poseidon's formidable presence, capturing the essence of a god who embodies both creation and destruction. Poseidon's enduring legacy is one of awe and respect, a reminder of nature's raw power and the god's influence over the world. He was a deity who could grant safe passage or unleash devastating fury, a god who shaped the land and sea in ways both wondrous and terrifying. Today, his name still conjures images of crashing waves, majestic horses, and the unpredictable forces of the earth. Poseidon's story continues to remind us of the ancient belief that the world is full of divine forces, powerful and ever-present, that command our reverence and humility. Poseidon's presence in mythology is a profound representation of the forces of nature, wild, untamable, and capable of both nurturing life and unleashing devastation. His story is more than that of a god ruling over the ocean. It is a tale that embodies the duality of nature itself, a reflection of how the ancients viewed the world around them, full of both beauty and peril. His legacy has persisted through the ages, influencing how we perceive the might of the sea and the deep, primal connection humanity has with the natural world. In Poseidon, we see a god who embodies the oceans, an expanse that covers much of our planet and holds the mysteries of the deep. The ocean is a source of life, providing sustenance and avenues for exploration, but it is also capable of swallowing entire fleets, dragging them into the abyss with the same ease that it nurtures life along its shores. Poseidon's power reminds us that the sea is a place of awe and respect, a domain that demands humility from those who dare to traverse it. But beyond the waves, Poseidon's influence reaches the land. His power to cause earthquakes, to make the earth tremble and crack, shows that his dominion extends to the very foundation of the world. As the earth shaker, he represents the unpredictability of the ground we walk on, the idea that even the solid earth is not immune to the whims of nature. This duality made Poseidon a god whose reach was felt everywhere, from the shores of coastal cities to the heart of the mainland. Poseidon's mythological stories are more than just tales of gods and monsters. They are reflections of humanity's relationship with the environment. The fear and reverence that sailors held for him echo our own understanding of nature's unpredictable power. His wrath, whether manifesting as a tempest at sea or an earthquake on land, serves as a timeless warning about the delicate balance that must be maintained with the natural world. Poseidon embodies both the grandeur and the fury of nature, a reminder of our planet's capacity to give life and to reclaim it. Even in the modern era, where scientific explanations have replaced divine ones, Poseidon remains a cultural symbol of the sea's majesty and terror. His image can be seen in art, literature, and even the names of naval vessels, paying homage to the god who once ruled the oceans in the minds of the ancients. The stories of his feuds, his creatures, and his creations still captivate our imagination, linking us to a time when every wave and every quake was thought to carry the will of a mighty god. Poseidon's eternal legacy lies in his embodiment of nature's duality. He is a god who gave life through the sea and strength through the horse, but he is also the god who could bring ruin with storms and earthquakes. His myths continue to teach us respect for the natural world, a world that is still as powerful and unpredictable as ever. Poseidon, the mighty and mercurial god, will forever remain a symbol of the sea's beauty and fury, a reminder that the forces of nature, though ancient, are as potent and majestic today as they were in the days of myth. And so, our journey through the myth and might of Poseidon comes to an end. We've ventured into the depths of the ocean, where the god's palace of coral and pearls glitters beneath the waves, and we've felt the rumble of the earth as his trident splits the land. We've witnessed the splendor of his creations, from majestic horses galloping across open plains to the fearsome monsters lurking in the deepest waters. Poseidon, with his unpredictable wrath and life-giving gifts, reminds us of the profound and untamed power of nature, a force that both nurtures and humbles us. Poseidon's legacy lives on in the roaring waves, in the whispers of the ocean breeze, and in every tremor of the ground beneath our feet. His tales are a testament to the delicate balance between humanity and the natural world, teaching us to respect the seas we sail and the earth we tread. Through the myths of his feuds and triumphs, we remember a time when gods walked among us, shaping the world with their immense powers. If you've been captivated by the majesty and mystery of Poseidon and crave more journeys through the realms of gods and legends, don't forget to follow Whisper Tales. Here, stories from the ancient world are brought to life, where every whisper carries the magic of forgotten worlds and every tale leads you to new adventures. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of one of the most powerful gods of Olympus. Until we meet again, may the winds guide you gently, the waves carry you safely, and the earth remain steady beneath your feet. Rest well, dream of ancient myths, and let the whispers of history lull you into a peaceful slumber. Good night, dear traveler, and don't forget to follow for more tales that echo through time.